skin, so gorgeous. We thank the life gorgeous. Thank the life gorgeous. I love the life gorgeous. Its torso is so tight.
Welcome to Life Gorgeous. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Craigers. This is where I share my magical life in hopes of improving your life. We have a very special guest back. The focus group said we had good chemistry. My friend said we had good chemistry. She's beautiful. She's stunning. She's an actress. She's a podcaster. It is Maggie Lawson. Hello there.
Wow, what an intro. Thank you so much.
We have
I feel like we have fun, right?
Yes. We have a good bond. It seems like you're a very nice person, so you're fairly patient with me. I'm a little sarcastic on occasions.
Yeah.
What was that? Did you just overreact to that or what? There's nothing wrong with you say sarcastic, I say witty and charming. I don't know.
No, I exactly. That's how I say. I see it as witty and charming. I don't see it as sarcastic, but thanks.
I want to be disciplined at the top. I want to see how long you and I can go without talking about our love of martinis. I want to see if we can be normal people.
I had a martini yesterday.
I can't wait to hear about it. I'm going to try to talk about a few other things.
Okay.
But I just want the audience to know that when there's a bond between martini drinkers, and not everyone drinks martinis. A lot of the young people drink bourbon and scotch, and I used to drink scotch when I was younger. And it's rare, in my opinion, that females will have martinis. I mean, they like dirty martinis, but we're not there yet. We'll break this all down. We'll probably go 50 minutes on martinis, and
so I don't think we can do it. I just don't think we can do it.
So here's my first question. I follow you on Instagram.
Okay, yes.
Mm-hmm. Do you love sunsets?
I hate them. I hate them.
No.
Enough with the sunsets. Right?
Well, you do post sunset. They're always beautiful. And I don't think you do it too much because I don't even think you post. You don't post that often on Instagram. Like
I've been told I need to post more. Actually. Yeah.
So what's your deal with, most people love sunsets, but it looks like when you show it, it moves you, and it should, right?
I mean, yeah, I don't know like exactly when my love of a good sunset began. I just think I've always really appreciated when I'm in awe of anything, I kind of want to share it.
Yes.
And I live in a place now that I moved into this apartment last summer. I was in this building. I love this building, but I was facing the other direction. So I was facing downtown. So that was fun because I got a lot of like moon rises and things like that.
Is it called a reverse sunset? Is there something off of the buildings downtown? You get some colors?
Oh, yeah. The glares and the thing. Oh, it's really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
And so when I moved to the other side, because I crave seeing the sunset, this apartment opened up on the other side facing west. It's just every day. This is when I often have a martini, but I walk in and I think, oh my God, this is like, what is this place? Earth, right. I guess, but like these beautiful things. And so I'm just a person who I feel like I'm in awe fairly easily, but the sunset for some reason for me, it gets me every time. It stops me in my tracks. I take a minute.
Right.
I take it in. The day is ending. It's like it's just like a reset and it's a whole vibe for me.
Right.
And it's kind of like, I know you put your jazz on at night and like you have your the sunset is my version of that.
Interesting. And I like that. And before I forget, Maggie has a podcast called The Psychologists Are In. Is that correct?
Yes.
We're going to talk about that later. I had that at the top and then I jumped to martinis. Oh. So here are my thoughts on sunsets. Okay. First of all, did you just said you were in the building and then you're in the same building, but an apartment opened up on the other side. So was that strategic where you just jumped? Were you waiting for this to happen?
Yes. I feel like I have this thing in LA and I've talked to a couple of friends about it, about placement. Like whenever I've had either a house or an apartment or whatever, I feel a little bit weird when my back is to the sunset.
Oh,
So to the sun, to the west.
yeah.
So I feel better when I can face west or south. It's just me. It's a weird thing.
Right.
Than facing, say, north or east. And
Okay.
so I was facing south in my old apartment, which was great. I really did love that place.
Right.
I really did. But I am so pulled to the sunset that
Right.
I literally was like, I feel like my back is to the thing that I need. It's like
Right.
my medicine. It's like it feels, yeah. So
And
yeah.
and was it competitive to get that apartment when it opened up? Were there other people in the building that said, "I want it, I want it"?
I think I love that we're talking about this. So yeah, it was a whole thing, Craig. So I knew my lease was up soon, and I was in this transition. I was like, a relationship had just ended, so I had that natural feeling of like a fresh start and a new
Sure.
chapter anyway. And I move a lot. Like I love. I like it's not a compulsion, but it's definitely like if I'm done with something, I'm done with something, and I wanna experience a new version of that or whatever.
You're nomadic, you're itinerant, you're peripatetic. These are the we used to do this vocabulary thing with my brother. Anyways, so you like to
Yes,
move around. So you had to did you have to get physical with anybody in the building to get that apartment? Did you have to
so I had been talking to them for a little while. I've become very good friends with. I love this building. There's a whole crew downstairs. There's like a front desk here. It's very nice. And so I've become really good friends with them. And I was like, hey, nothing opens up on this side of the building. But I was like, when I get first dibs, right?
That's great.
And then what happened was crazy. 2 places opened. And I couldn't get in. They have this rule where like you can't get in to see, and I have to like feel a place. Like it's not just, I couldn't just say like, sure. Like it's the West View. So that's great. I don't know what the place is going to feel like. So my thing is like, I couldn't sign off on it until I could see it. And there's a rule that you can't tour any apartment. I think just in general, but definitely in this building, unless the person has moved out or given permission in some way. And I didn't have that yet. So I was debating between these two apartments without seeing them.
Whoa.
And I finally said to them, like, I can't do it. I'm dying though, because I think this is a mistake for me to like pass up this opportunity is a mistake. And the guy called me and he was like, look, I talked to the woman who is in the apartment. She's fine. She'll let you in because you're already in the building. But, she's not really open to tours or whatever. I was like, okay, let's sneak up there really quick and we'll do it. And I walked in and I saw it was right at sunset, of course, which is what I requested. And I was like, oh, I'm sold. And I moved 7 days later.
How long have you been there?
And I've been here since July of last year. So I add that up, like 10 months. No,
okay. And
not even close.
This is not important. Is the rent more or the same or what is it?
This is what was interesting.
It's all interesting.
Isn't it? This whole story is this interesting to anyone?
It is to me because I really care about where I live.
Yes.
And I have a whole thing about where I drink has to be magical. It can't be. You don't waste a drink on a subpar location, man. So so this is interesting.
This is why we connect.
Exactly.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep.
And so, and while my other place, I will say this, my other apartment had more of a wow factor. The windows were different, but it wasn't satisfying to me because just like you said, I was sort of sitting, I was overlooking a parking lot. It was a really plain view. And that's where I like to have my glass of wine or my martini at the end of the day. So what was interesting was my apartment that I was in at the time, by, whatever building rule law, the rent had to go up a little bit.
Okay.
And this apartment, based on wherever the market was, because it was sort of a new apartment, it wasn't going to be a renewal. The rent was a teeny bit less. It was real magical.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was another reason I was like, this is a big yes. And then I have a photo which I'll share with you after we are finished with the pod if you want to have it, of the first martini I made the night that I moved in.
You can't hold it up to the camera now, correct? Is it on your phone or where is it?
It might be on my Instagram actually. So yeah,
okay.
here. Ready? Yeah, because sorry, that's the noise. It was so these are my moving boxes, right?
Oh yeah.
I did a lot of the move myself.
Yeah.
Okay. This is my pretty little view. This is one, but that was my martini.
That's beautiful. That is great.
Yeah.
That is
so that's my little, and then this is the view.
That's a lot of window, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Gotta have it. So that's my so the sunsets are like they're a whole thing for me. It's like a marker. It stops me in my day.
So
yeah.
Let me make a few comments. So I do like sunsets. I think you like them more than I do, but there's a reason for that. First of all, I have said that pre-war architecture, homes built in the 20s or 30s before 1940, and restaurants, like if I'm in the Chateau Marmont with that high ceiling in that big grand room there, having a martini at 5:30 or 6 and I don't see the sunset, I'm okay because I see this architecture. So I'm really moved by architecture. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I was going to say that obviously sunsets are magical to a lot of people. You know how they say rainbows are magical? When you see a rainbow, they go, oh, there's a rainbow. And the other thing you see sometimes when you go, oh, is a hummingbird. Like if you see a hummingbird in your yard, you go, whoa. But sunsets happen every day. And that's we're kind of spoiled that way. But I'll tell you something.
Maybe that's what I like about it. It is an everyday thing that never sold to me.
Yeah. And the hummingbird lasts about 10 seconds. You know what I'm saying? Then it zips away.
Still magical when you get one.
Right.
Like, yeah.
So kind of embarrassing, but because this is me being a little, maybe spaced out. But my favorite place in the world, which I've mentioned, is Carmel, California. I used to live there, but I go up there once or twice a year. And I was taking Princess Cherry there a few years ago. Well, one of our earlier trips, and I bounce around because I stay in Carmel. Then you go into Pebble Beach, and you have the Spanish Bay. They have a Roy's there with a bagpiper playing and all this kind of stuff.
Nice.
But there's this Hyatt. In the Carmel Highlands, which is just a mile down from Carmel, all glass overlooking the jagged rock and the ocean. And
it's the Carmel by the Sea, right?
Yeah, it's Carmel by the Sea.
I stayed in the pink, oh my God, I'm blanking on the name.
The pink.
The one that's connected to it, basically, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. Oh, wow. So that's called, it's called Pacific View is the name of the restaurant. I think it's called Pacific's Edge. Pacific's Edge at the Hyatt, Carmel Highlands Hyatt. And I've been there many times, and I said, I got to take you there. You got to see the sunset, but it's very competitive to get seats there in this lounge. Very competitive. So I get there around 5:30, and I had forgotten. This is because I was busy. You can make fun of me. I'm not a space cadet, but it was in the summer, and the sun doesn't set until like 8:00.
Oh, come on! Oh my God!
So we got good seats, but we didn't stick around.
I was just going to say, then you just got to hang. You got to have
we had a drink, but I'm not going to drink for 3 hours or 2 hours. But I wanted to get the seats for oh my God. But the sunsets are magical. People go down to the beach there and with their blankets and watch the sunset in Carmel and stuff. So you were there, huh?
Yeah. A few years ago, my very first trip up there, I cannot believe how long it took me to get to Big Sur and Carmel. Having lived here as long as I have and experience and somebody who I will go find, whether it's like the poppy fields or the sunset or whatever. The fact that I had not seen the trees and the rocks and the coastline of Big Sur is crazy to me. I can't believe I haven't been back either. It's been, I think, 3 years since I went up, but I stayed in what is the name of that hotel?
Oh, the pink. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. I don't remember. So you're saying you didn't stay in Carmel. You stayed at the pink one next to Carmel. Yes. I see the sign all the time. It's a cute little name. I can find out what it is. Forever. I wanted to tell the people. So Maggie may look like she's from California, but she grew up, I believe, in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yes, I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, originally.
Tickle
Thank
Pinkin.
you.
Yes.
I knew it had a funny little weird
Yes.
name. Yeah,
Yes. Tickle
yeah.
Pink. So that's beautiful. So I love it. I'm glad you got to go up there. And then you obviously went into Carmel by the Sea, the village, and you
Yes.
walked amongst the shops and it's
So
the
cute.
fairy tale buildings. And that's where I lived for 3 years when I was 29 and 30 and 31 years old. I
Wait,
lived
really? You lived there?
So I started in local TV in Salinas, Santa Cruz, Monterey. Those were the 3 cities. It was the 110 market. New York is number 1, LA is number 2, Chicago's 3, San Francisco's 4. This was the 110 market. But it was the most beautiful market in
Yeah.
the United States.
Yeah.
And so it served those 3 Monterey, Salinas. Station was in Salinas. I commuted 35 minutes a day from Carmel. And I lived in a
Wow.
studio apartment that was right next to Katie's Place, which is known for their eggs Benedict.
Yeah.
And I just remember a couple of years later, after I'd done some television, I would always go back, and I was at this restaurant called Casanova, which is still there. And the waitress goes, "I live in number 7 where you used to live, the studio where you used to live. I live there." So it's my favorite place in the world. It's where I celebrate my birthdays, and I go up there all
Oh,
the
I
time.
love this.
So
It's
what was
so
your?
fun.
I always wonder, like, people's first impressions. I thought it was the most beautiful place around.
Yeah, I was really, really blown away. I walked along. I did a few of the hikes there.
Yeah.
It was, I felt like I was in some magical, like wizard and fairy land along the water there. The color of the water, but like the way it was so powerful. I was there in July, but it felt like,
that's it. That's crowded then. That's crowded. July is crowded.
it was. It's
A
weird.
lot of Europeans coming there. A lot of
Yeah.
A lot of tourists.
But it was very chilly, very it's what I wanted. I wanted like
Right.
moody, and the Tickle Pink Inn, the place that I had there had like a working fireplace. They brought you firewood at night.
Oh, that's great.
So you could like build your fireplace and then have it was such a fun, cool trip. And then I stayed for fun because I'd never done this before. Tree Bones. That's what it's called. And it's like booked out for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Because these yurts are like so cool and so, whatever. So I stopped at Tickle Pink Inn, went into the, what was the place there was a restaurant. Name some of the kind of popular.
Nepenthe is a restaurant there down in. See, I don't go to Big Sur too much, but Pacific's Edge is the restaurant at Carmel Highlands, and they used to have Julia Child would have the food and wine ceremony there, and then Tickle Pink. I always see the sign. I never stayed there, but
it's so great. So it looks like these little cottages. Yeah.
Yeah. So my thing is I like to stay in Carmel because I don't want to drive. So I just walk around the village. I walk down to the beach with the white sand for the record. They brought in that white sand way back in the 30s or 40s from Hawaii, I was told, but they have white sand on the Carmel beach. And then if I drive, I might drive into Pebble Beach to go to Spanish Bay where they have the Roys, like I said, or go to Pebble Beach Lodge. And they have all my coasters here are from the tap room. I take them, they give them to me. I don't take them.
Stop it, really?
I have the tap room coasters here in my house. But
that's very
and people would say, "Isn't it boring up there, Craig?" I said, "No, it's not." I mean, I just thought it was so beautiful, and I go to bed early anyway. But
I'm never bored in a place that I'm in in nature like that. And look, I know it's like a little town, it's a little village, it's tiny, but it's beautiful.
Stunning.
Like, I mean, it's like that town is like, it like sparkles.
Yeah.
A little Carmel town. But like, I feel I'm never bored when I'm in a place that it's almost like the nature speaks to you, the town speaks to you, the art speaks to you. It just never feels lonely, even if you go to the same place to have a drink every night. Like it's just, I don't know. It never feels, boredom is not that is a word that does not come to mind. Yeah.
So there wasn't a nightlife there. So some of my friends were like, "How do you do this?" I was 30 years old. There's no nightlife, but it didn't matter to me. There are a couple piano bars. They've added a little music. Doris Day fell in love with it, and she passed away, but she has a hotel there called the Cypress Inn where it's pet friendly, and you go in
I
there.
went there.
Oh,
yeah. I didn't stay there, but I went there.
Yeah, you go there. I've never stayed there. You just go there and you have Terry's Lounge is the name of the lounge.
Yeah.
And have a drink, and it's just they have all her posters up from all of her movies.
It's very
Uh,
cute. Yeah.
and then of course Clint Eastwood was the mayor there, and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know if I told you this, but I tell everybody. But so when I was there, I was a local sports guy. And there were celebs that lived like in Carmel Valley, Merv Griffin, who I later interviewed on the Late Late Show. And he goes, I remember when you were doing sports in Salinas.
Oh,
But
that's so cool.
so I was the sports guy. And then the news lady at a different station was Dina Ruiz. And she became my friend because she too lived in Carmel. Because most of the TV people lived in Monterey, and we
Right.
lived in Carmel. So Dina was my friend, and then I went to ESPN and we stayed in touch. And she called me and she says, "Yeah, I'm dating Clint Eastwood." And there was like a 30-year gap there. I think it's
Uh-huh.
33 years. And then she called. She says, "I'm marrying him." So they were married for like 18 years. I don't know if
Oh,
did
that's
I
why
tell
I
you
knew
that?
that name.
Yeah,
No, I'm
yeah.
like, "Oh, right. Okay."
So
They were
yeah.
married for 18 years.
Yeah, so
Wow.
she got him on she got Clint on the Late Late Show for me. It was really cool.
Oh,
So,
that's so cool.
and she's still a good friend. So I don't want to talk. I could go on Carmel. I'm so glad you got to go there. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to say about Carmel,
It
but
is interesting when you said that. I was like, "Oh, wow." Most people are like, "Yeah, I was in New York in my late 20s and early 30s." So those were like my New York days. And I love that you were like in Carmel,
I know.
like
And
experiencing.
I will say, I'll say something else. I know what I wanted to tell you is,
Mm,
and I did live in New York in my 30s, which was great when I was at Comedy
right,
Central, and that was a blast. Great city, the greatest city in the world. I won't even argue with people, but I'd rather live
right.
in California. But there were people that I know who, because I lived there, but some people moved away. And there's an acquaintance of mine who said it was just too overcast. They say that about San Francisco. And
Yeah,
and I said, it is sunny sometimes, then it's really magical. But well, you already said what I think. It creates a mood,
yeah,
and I love having to wear a sweater. I love putting on
yeah.
cashmere and then going in a little chilly, and you go into a warm fireplace where restaurant and have a drink. I mean, I love that
That's
mood.
heaven. I
Yes.
feel like too, in LA, and God, I love the sun, I love the weather, it's great. But I feel like you come to appreciate, well, being from Kentucky, the sunny days, I feel like especially from October until May, basically, getting a sunny day was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, do you ever feel this? Well, I don't, where did you grow up?
Minnesota, the coldest place in the world.
There you go. So you kind of know when you get that sunny day, there's almost this like pressure to do something with it, be outside,
Yeah.
get certain chores and like whatever. And I think I sometimes still feel that in LA.
Yeah.
So when the rainy days come, it's the opposite where I'm like, oh, I'm just going to be cozy. I'm just going to stay in. I'm
Yeah.
just going to enjoy and listen to the rain. And I think that experience up there, that's what I wanted to have. Like, I love Vancouver. I love Seattle. I love that sort of Pacific Northwest vibe too. But this was something, Carmel and Big Sur, and I stayed in Monterey as well.
Mm.
There is something about, like, it's almost like a haunting energy or like a spookiness in a good way that
Mhm.
like I felt all like I wanted to like come home and like write poetry about it or like
Yeah.
paint about it.
It's a thing where, again, I was going to apologize to the listeners, but I'm passionate about this because when I worked at ESPN, I was telling everybody about Carmel,
Yeah.
and some of the guys were golfers, and I told them, you got to go play because there's some great courses on the East Coast. But my buddy said, Carl Ravitch said, I'm going to Pebble Beach to finally play. Where should I eat? And he called me from there, and he goes, "Oh my God," because Pebble Beach, the course is right on the water, right on the water, and
Oh,
so what you have is, just to let people know at home, you have Carmel Village, which is the magical place. Next to it,
right.
just north, is this area called Pebble Beach, which has the Pebble Beach Golf Course and Cypress and Spanish Bay and Poppy Hills. They have like 4 or 5 courses inside Pebble Beach, which is you have to have a pass to get in, or you pay $20 to get in because it's part of the 17-mile drive. Then you have a little place called Pacific Grove. Then you have Monterey. So you have all this. And then below Carmel is Big Sur, which a
Yeah.
lot of people like. That it's more, there aren't too many, there's no downtown. It's just like a couple of resorts on the water, and there's There's a place called, it's where they get massages and all this stuff. It's some
Oh,
resort spa. A pen,
that's it
no,
starts
no,
with a V. It starts with a V.
Ventana, right?
Ventana, thank you.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
another one that's like a year. I feel like it's a year out. I've never stayed there, Craig. I've never stayed there. How have I not stayed there?
So again, for people that don't get to California, my thing is I don't like flying, so I like the road trips. And there are places, there's San Clemente south of LA. Obviously, everyone likes Manhattan Beach. You have Carpinteria, Summerlin, Santa Barbara.
Love.
You
Yeah.
have Morro Bay. You have
Yeah.
Half Moon Bay. You have places north of San Francisco, Bodega Bay, where they film the
Yeah.
birds. So you have all these great coastal towns, and Carmel's the best. But
Yeah.
anyway,
I
so
agree.
yeah.
Hey, have you been to the Jolly Oyster?
No, where's that?
It's in Ventura. It is. I mean, I have lately. I think. Oh no. Yeah. I've
So you
fallen in love
choose
with
places based on the name Tickle Pink Jolly Oyster.
it. It's true. No, I don't. I just choose. So Tickle Pink Inn is I think it's kind of famous. I don't know. A friend of mine was like, "Oh my god, I had my honeymoon there," and I was like, "All right, sold. I'll stay there
Yeah,
because they
it
had
has a high
room
rating.
there."
I just saw it. It's a high rating. Tickle
Yeah,
Pink is
it's
good.
really
Yeah.
nice. You should, just because you get this like experience of like I said, the working fireplace
Yeah.
and the firewood being dropped off at night, and like, oh, it's so nice. But wait, where was that? What was I
You were
going?
talking about the
The
Jolly
Jolly
Oyster in
Oyster.
Ventura.
Okay, so this is what I'll say, just for your road trip fun.
Yes.
The Jolly Oyster is like, it is a beach shack. It is a little outside. It's you look it up, but it's Ventura-ish. So, have you done like the Santa Ynez,
I've eaten there many times. I've never stayed
the
there. Ysidro
bells and
Ranch,
like all of yeah,
I've stayed. I've stayed at the Biltmore is closed in Santa Barbara right now. The Four
right.
Seasons Biltmore. I've stayed there and I've eaten there. But the Santa Ynez, there's the San Ysidro Ranch, which I've eaten at many times. And we go to Lure House, which is right in Ventura. But that's just I get my sand dabs there. But I've never been to the Jolly Oyster, so that's probably closer to the water, right?
It's on the water.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a thing. So I got to tell you, it's not like from what I know of us, it's not necessarily like, oh, this is the sort of pretty, that kind of magical experience we want to have. But it's different in that the food is fantastic.
Oh,
And you
wow.
can bring your own wine,
Oh,
or they have wine there, or bring your martini shaker or whatever you want
yeah.
to do. And you can sit there, and it is just picnic tables or whatever. But the food,
Oh,
this is not
yeah,
where you're having
yeah.
dinner.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
not where you're having like your, but it's your
Yeah, I
like
see it
midday
here.
snack
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
the road, and you go and you get to sit by the water, and it's
Right.
just, you get the ocean. Your hair smells like
Right.
salt when you leave, and you get to eat oysters that have like, it's wonderful. So I have to say that. But then the Santa Ynez, I wanted to bring that up because you're a road tripper. I was just going to ask you, what are your other sort of magical places?
Okay.
California.
So I just want
Yeah.
to see if you know these places. And I just looked up the Jolly Oyster and it has a high rating as well. And
Craig, who are you talking to? How
Right.
long have we known each other now? I'm not going to send you somewhere.
because there's a place in Santa Barbara that's a kind of a dive Mexican place that Julia Childs mentioned that she likes. And then now there's a line, and it's just like a little tiny little Mexican place with great food. Sometimes they put cream sauces on Mexican food. It's just outrageous.
I don't know Santa Barbara very well.
I don't either. I don't either.
Yeah.
I just want to say a sidebar here.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I agree with it. Hey, the dog's
I
there.
know. Yeah, this
You-
is Linus.
Do you know?
Linus
Do you
is
know?
awesome.
I have a note here, and it says, after the sun sets, it says, "Do you have a new dog?" That's my next. That's
I
one of my.
do have a new dog.
That's what I thought.
This is Linus.
Is that the new dog, or are you cheating on the? Is there? Where's the new dog?
Yeah. So my dog passed away in 2021, the end of 2021.
Sorry
My
to
dog
hear that.
Peanut.
That's
who
very
was-
painful, devastating. You told me this last time, by the yes,
Yeah.
I remember.
And I've lost dogs. I've had many dogs. But this one was sudden, and it was traumatic, and it was awful. And it was the first time since I was 22 that I didn't have a dog after she passed. And it took me a minute because with like the grief of losing her came grief of it was like an era of my life. It was just after the pandemic, I had just turned 40. There was just a lot that was like, that Peanut and I went through together. And so it took me a minute. And then recently I was like, and recently I'd say like fallish, last year, I was like, all right, I think I'm open, and I'm not gonna, I feel really lucky that most of the animals that I've had in my life have sort of come to me. I don't really have to look that far. It's not something I go like, hunting. Anyway, so I think I was in the space of like, okay, she'll show up or he'll show up. I don't really have to go, hardcore into looking for this dog. I don't want to force something.
Mhm.
So I met a couple. I had actually was like hosting some event for Best Friends Animal Society here. I had met a couple of dogs, and I was like, oh, I'm really open, because I connected with a couple. I was like, maybe I'll do a trial with them or do whatever the rescues suggest. And they got adopted right away. So it wasn't that dog. And then Craig, this is so crazy, because I'm not like as you know, like I have to like feel a place. I have to like know something. I don't know. And so all I saw was an Instagram post about this boy. And I just got this hit that was like, oh, that's my dog. I don't know anything about it, but that's my dog. And I was leaving town for the holiday to go back to Kentucky for Christmas. And I know the woman who runs the rescue. I reached out to her. She said, yeah, he's messed up. He's got, 2 bad knees. He's got a pelvic fracture, all this. And I was like, okay. She's like, you still want to meet him? I said, yeah, I do. But I'm leaving town tomorrow. She's like, let's do it tonight. So I went and I met him, and we had a nice little connection. I was like, I'm pretty sure this is my dog. And then I had this moment when I went home where I was like, Peanut, is this my dog? Like, I talked to her a lot. Oh, Craig. I'm saying a lot right now. But I would talk to her a little bit, and I was like, hey, if this is, I think this is my dog, but I'll take any signs you want to throw my way. Now I'm in Kentucky. He is about to have his surgeries. I get the adoption papers. I'm just about to sign them. We're having like some little Christmas party at my house in Kentucky. And I go upstairs to my old childhood bedroom, and I take a minute, and I don't know. I just like said a little prayer or wish. And I said, please send me a signed Peanut. I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready. And I think it's him. Okay. So cut to the next morning. The papers are signed. I'm flying home on Christmas Eve to pick him up from a surgery, one of 2 that he needs to have. I know nothing about him other than a 45-minute little hangout we had. And I get his shelter records and all the papers from the rescue. And I look at the shelter. He was in the South LA shelter. I wanted to see what their remarks were about him, what happened maybe. And I see that his shelter intake day was December 9th, 2023, which is the exact date, 2-year anniversary of Peanut's passing.
Whoa.
She died on December 9th, 2021.
Whoa.
So that stops me for a second. I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. That's when he came into the shelter. Reading through a little bit more, and they guessed based on his teeth, his, body, whatever, that he's 2. And so they gave him a birth date of December 9th, 2021, which is the exact date that she passed.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I know. You can almost cry. This is a crazy, crazy, crazy story. I was standing in my kitchen in Kentucky, and I looked at my mom, and I just started crying. I was like, I almost couldn't say it. I was like,
wow.
this is weird. Yeah.
That is weird. That's great though. It's positive.
It feels like it's my, like this, it just fuels these, like, I feel really lucky. I don't, I usually get a sign if I need one. I mean, I feel like we all do. I feel like if you're looking for something, you'll probably find it. But at the same time, I did not expect it to be this obvious. And so I kind of do see it as a like a very obvious, like, all right, Mom, if you didn't know this was your dog, I'm going to hit you in the face with it.
Right.
And so he is a dream.
What's the name of the new dog?
So his name is Linus. His name was Flannel at the rescue. Right. And I picked him up from his surgery on Christmas Eve, and I thought, you're not Flannel. What a cute name, but it's not you.
Right.
And then I started thinking about peanuts because peanut,
Right.
or
Oh,
nuts
yeah.
because of peanut. And I'm like, all right, cashew. Maybe I call him cash. Maybe it's pistachio, like. And then I have all these friends that have recently named their dogs like walnut or cashew, or
Oh, okay.
I'm like, I don't want to be the dog nut person. So I went home and a Charlie Brown Christmas was on,
Yeah.
and that is the Peanuts comic strip. So that is a sort of a related to Peanut story. And I
Right.
was like, oh, he's Linus. He's like the voice of reason. He's calm. He's cool. He's also very proud. I like that it kind of sounds like lion too, because he's got
Yeah.
this kind of like pride about him.
Yeah.
And he's
And
the
look at him. There he is. I
greatest.
just wanted them to see that.
Yeah,
And
he's
is what kind of dog is he, would you say? Is he
so my guess was a Cavalier, King Charles, maybe a Jack Russell, maybe a Chihuahua.
okay.
Did a DNA test.
Yeah.
None of those things. Oh no, he's one of those things. Poodle, Chihuahua,
Right.
and this is my favorite. The other third,
Yeah.
American Bully.
Oh, wow.
I'm gonna do another DNA test. I don't buy it.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
But he's precious, and we've been.
I had one dog. Obviously, I'll get it when the time is right. When I'm ready for the effort that I need to put in. But I had a golden retriever named Captain growing up in Minnesota, and I was loyal to Captain for a long time. And I have said to other people, I think I told you this last time, that I like Airedales. I don't know if you know what they
Yeah,
look like.
they're
You could
beautiful.
get a Welsh Terrier, which is smaller, that looks the same. But that's not. I don't know if I want to be really picky. That's what I'll get, but maybe not. That's a great story, Maggie. And I was going to tell you that I have all these notes. It's good because I'll have you on again. I don't get to all my notes because we talk about so many different things.
Yeah.
And like I actually looked at my old notes with you, and I don't know if we got into it last time, but I'll bring up this one. And if we did, we'll skip over it. But I sometimes talk music with people, and
Yeah.
I said on my notes, I said, "Oh, I bet you the way she grew up, she liked George Michael and Simon Le Bon." Did I ask you that last time? Did I bring this
I
up?
love them both, but no, you did not.
Okay, good. Because I didn't think I got to the music last time.
Oh my God, that's really funny that you just guessed that and you're not wrong. But why does, hold on.
I
How
think
does
it was
growing
your
up in
age, and I was
Kentucky-
picking people that women would like. I mean, if you were
Oh.
older, I would say Bowie because I know people that love Bowie. But
Love
I
Bowie,
just
yeah.
think, maybe it was your age. I said, I bet you. Now, I didn't know what you listened to if you listened to country down in Kentucky, but if you listen to
Not
pop,
really.
George Michael, Simon Le Bon, Duran
I
Duran.
love both. Love Duran Duran. Definitely. It's interesting because my house, like growing up, my mom, we always had music playing, and my mom and we were a very musical family. I would sing. My brother played the piano. Later, my brother was in music for a very long time. He's a music manager. It's just been a huge part of our lives. But it's funny. No, my mom raised us on music she listened to.
Oh.
So I was in love with Carole King. I
Yeah.
was in love with classic rock. I was in love with, even Carly Simons.
Carly
And
Simon,
yeah,
Neil Young, Crosby,
yeah,
Stills and Nash,
all of it.
Joni Baez,
Yeah, Joan Baez for sure.
Patti
Joni
Smith, Joan
Mitchell,
Armatrading. What's that?
Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah.
Like, so, but, and then Billy Joel, Elton John, and a lot of, obviously like the pop stuff too. But I wasn't like, yes, I was into bands of the time, but my love was way more of me. I thought that was what was current.
Right. Did
Yeah.
mom like funk, like Parliament or Barry White? Or
Yes.
Barry White wasn't funk, but he was soul
No,
music.
we did listen to Barry White. We listened to a
So-
lot of Motown
I
as
just
well.
wanted to
Yeah.
say, did mom like funk?
Yeah. No, mom did like funk. Mom still likes
Gap
funk.
Band.
Gap Band, yes. Oh my
Yeah.
God, this is so funny. This is funny that you said George Michael. It's wild. I got into 80s music, same thing. Later.
Yeah.
I got more.
Yeah.
I know Kurt Smith. Do you know Kurt Smith?
I've heard that
Tears for
name.
Fears. Oh,
Oh,
okay.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So he's become like a dear friend, and so
Oh,
I follow him
cool.
around. I love Tears for Fears, but
Oh, yeah. That's
it's funny.
yeah.
I and now music's all over the place because you can listen to one song to, like it's all streaming and whatever, but like the albums, the start to finish albums, I feel like it's been so long.
The,
I mean,
yeah,
Tapestry is probably one of my
yeah. The,
all-time. Yeah.
the state I listen to, I have Pandora and because it just I pick a station, like an '80s station or a Boss
Yes.
Skaggs station or something,
I
and
love
they
it. You have
play the
Pandora.
Tears for Fears. They play Everybody Wants to Rule the World and Shout. I mean, I hear it 3 times a day unless I skip it, and they're different versions.
What?
They're
Like a
well, they
live or like a
no,
yeah.
there's a longer version where they have a different percussion, and he even says everyone
Oh,
wants to run the world instead of rule the world. It's the same song, just done in a different arrangement. Maybe it's
yeah.
3 minutes longer, but it's pretty fun. And it's just why I listen to it when I'm walking.
You're
Um,
jazz, right? You
yeah,
love listening.
I missed growing up. My dad turned me on to jazz and Sinatra and Nat King Cole and Bill Evans, and I don't force it on people, but it's very special and it's timeless. And then when I work out, or sometimes when I'll drink at home or whatever, I'll switch it up and listen to the different '70s or '80s
Yeah.
music. And I'm just trying to think. So I
Do you
didn't
like
listen
the
to
Mulatu? Do you like that Ethiopiques album? This is something I listen to when I have
what is it?
Mulatu, the Ethiopian
I don't
kind
know
of
if I've heard
jazz.
it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I will the side I'll send to you. I feel like you would love.
Yeah,
Um,
I do listen to since I was really young, there's jazz, but there's also bossa nova, which
yeah, I
is
love
Antonio
bossa
Carlos
nova.
Jobim, and that sets a mood, and it's so relaxing. So I listen to that a lot. And there's so many
Mm,
songs, The Waters of March, which everyone knows.
yes.
And besides Girl from Ipanema, there's so many other great songs. So I listen One Note Samba and all this kind of stuff. Um,
I'll do that on Spotify. I'll do like a Spotify radio of that. Yeah. Very, very it's like the happy hour vibe. Yeah.
You have the podcast, you're on the road.
Yeah.
It's called is it the psychologists are in?
Yeah.
It's you and your guy co-host, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, tell me his name so everyone knows.
Timothy Amundsen. Yeah.
S So you were in San Francisco recently for a live pod, does that sound right?
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, I have to ask how it went, but I mainly wanna say where'd you have a drink in San Francisco? But first of all, how'd it go? How was the
The
crowd? The
crowd
event?
was wonderful. This is San Francisco Sketch Fest, who is our friend Janet Varney has been doing this for almost
Oh,
20 years.
yes. I know,
Yes,
yes,
for so long.
yes.
Um, we we this was where we did our first live show last year that sort of kicked off doing live shows in general. And so it was really nice to go back there. We this is disappointing. It was when that crazy storm came in,
Oh.
and
Oh,
I
yeah.
ended up because I can be like this, where I was like, I can't afford to get stuck for a few days because I had something on Monday in LA. I flew in and flew out of San Francisco in the same day,
Oh.
on
Oh.
that Saturday. So I
Oh.
didn't eat there, but hold on. Because a few years ago, there is a place, is it called California?
I don't know.
Starts with a K, I believe. I feel bad. I can't give you like a good martini from San Francisco because
Well, I know the places because I live there and I go back and I pick the spots, and Bix is one of the great ones for a martini.
oh,
And there's some
sounds
up on
nice.
Nob Hill. One of them is currently closed. The Big Four bar and restaurant will reopen in 2025. It's in a hotel, the Huntington Hotel. Okay, so let me jump into all my martini questions. I've waited long enough. I think it's amazing that you love martinis. It's a
I
special
love
thing.
them.
It's a ritual, the glasses, the ice cold vodka. I
All
can't
of it.
remember. Some of these are repeat questions. Is it vodka or gin? I drink vodka. Gin.
Vodka.
Okay. Any
We did talk
specific?
about this.
Yeah.
Chopin.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. That's mine. Chopin and Belvedere are my two but I can do whatever. They can shake it. And do you like twists or olives?
Olives.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. Well, I'm a little no, it's I just so am I overreacting to say, a lot of,
Are we
a lot of
gendering it?
women a lot of women
Yes.
are drinking they're drinking white wine or they're drinking red wine. I mean,
And I love my wine. Don't get me wrong. That's been a tour thing. That's what I was going to tell you. What's been interesting is like I've been we don't have a ton of time when we are visiting all. So I've been to San Francisco, Atlanta, Seattle, Richmond, and what was the last place? Indianapolis. And we don't have a ton of time to explore. So what I've tried to do in each place is try a wine there are wine
okay.
regions now everywhere. So
Yeah,
I've been trying to try wines. Richmond, Virginia has a wine country now. I was actually very impressed with the Virginia wine. But yeah, I'm an olive. I'm a dirty martini person.
I've noticed that for years, women like dirty martinis with olive juice in there, and so how many? I've cut way down because when I was your age, I think I'd have it more often, but I really only have one a week unless I'm traveling, where I can have one every other day or whatever I want, really. But I don't have two in a sitting anymore. I used to do that. But how
It's
much? No, without getting too personal, I mean, do you have a drink every night, or what do you do?
It depends. Well, if it's a martini, see, a martini to me it feels like it needs to be earned. So a
Mm,
martini is something where wine feels to me more like, I'm going to have a glass of wine and maybe watch a show. It's like, it doesn't have the ritual and the experience for me,
absolutely.
even though I
Yeah.
love it. And I love everything wine. I really do. I love finding wine. I love
Yeah.
trying new wines and like, whatever. So I do love the experience of wine, but the experience of a martini for me is very different. So it depends. Right now, I feel like I'm working a lot. I'll feel better about having, I probably don't have more than two a week, like
Oh,
two
okay.
martini nights a
Yeah.
week. I'm not
Wait,
because
we
I
just
don't.
went from 2 a week to 2 martini nights a week. So is it one each night then?
Depends.
I
Yeah, probably.
I
It
don't mean
depends
to
on where.
pry. I'm just so impressed.
No,
I'm just
no,
so
but this is
impressed.
tricky. If I'm making them at home,
Yeah.
which I will do, I usually just one. But
Yeah.
like when you go to a place like say Musso and Frank's or Mastro's, you're getting like one and a half
Yeah.
already.
Well,
So
Musso and Frank has a sidecar just for the people at home. We have nice little carafe of extra martini in a pewter cup with ice. It's
yeah.
so dynamic. Oh my God,
The Hilton in Atlanta had a martini cart, Craig. It
I
was it was impressive. I
I
was not
love it.
expecting this. It was
I
like
just love it.
Me too. So that's the thing. So I think for me, um, I don't want to ever overdo the experience because it might take away from
The
how
magic.
the
Yes.
magic and how
Yep.
special it is. So it really is an earned special occasion. And to be honest with you, and I know you feel the same way, it is a preferred alone time for me. I love to have the
Well,
whole experience for
yes.
myself. Yeah.
So, okay. One thing you said, which I fully agree with, is you have to earn it.
Yeah.
When you accomplish something, it's martini time. When you do something during the day where you used your brain, you did something, you had to do something, it's the end of the day. Red wine's not going to cut it. You've earned that. It's liquor. You've
Yeah.
earned that.
Yeah.
And so I pick my spots.
Oh yeah, and you go for martinis, right? Oh no, you have them at home as well.
I rarely now have them. Okay, this is embarrassing. I may cut it out. I may cut it out of the pod. I may have told you this before, but in my old house, the 1712 North Crescent Heights, the old Dennis Hopper house, magical
Yes,
house behind the chateau,
yes.
you know, I would take, and this is, I'm taking this out, but this is embarrassing. I would shower upstairs. Oh, beautiful house. Put on my silk pajamas, my silk robe, and knowing I was going to go downstairs and listen to my music and drink my martini by myself and then order in later. But it was like, Craig, you're pathetic. You're showering to drink by yourself.
But no, it's not pathetic. And I want you can cut this if you want, but leave it in because I think what we're talking about. So I do a podcast also called Me Time,
Yes.
and Me Time can mean a lot of things, but
Right.
but I feel like I talked about traveling last week and how, I like to do a whole thing when I travel to make it, whether it's less stressful, whatever. I didn't fly on a plane until I was 15 years old just because of how I grew up, and we didn't have the means to do that. We only took road trips. I still absolutely love road trips. But I also love flying and I love the whole experience of it. I love travel. I love all of it in general. And it is because of the ritual that goes along with it. It feels special. It feels like a treat. It feels, this is what I'm getting at about the martini. The martini and that moment, let's just call it, the martini is like, it's a part, I guess it would be like almost the icing on the cake of the whole thing, right? Because you're kind of working up to the martini. But at the same time, the whole experience of it is what makes it special. It's like when I find the perfect place to sit, or you find the perfect song to put on, you've accomplished something. You're saying goodnight to the day, and like you're reflecting on it all. It's a whole thing, and so it is the opposite of pathetic to me. That like, in fact,
I've been drinking alone, but yeah, sorry, yeah.
No, I'm going to use this word that is overused, but like the self-care part of it, that I feel like it is for you. It is your time. It is special, and it is a gift you give to yourself. Anyway,
I agree with all of that, and this is why we have a connection, because I don't have, I've had some other friends who like martinis, but now some of them have moved away. And first of all, some of my writer friends, God bless them, are clean and sober. And some of them drink bourbon, which I could care less about. And so I do like sharing a martini with another martini lover, someone else who appreciates martinis. But I will say this. The other days, I had a friend come in from Chicago I hadn't seen in a long time, and he brought his wife, and they were staying at Casa del Mar, and they wanted to eat at Ivy on the Shore, which I haven't been to in 20 years. And I said, okay, they want to eat at, this time I'm going to get there 20 minutes early just so I can sit at the bar by myself and have a martini. Now I hit traffic and we arrived at the same time. And I really look forward to sitting by myself and having a martini when I haven't had, there was my weekly martini. It's just fun to sit at a bar by yourself and do that. For me, it is. And I think you've told me you enjoy that as well.
So much.
So my buddy shows up with his wife. I meet his wife for the first time, and they're martini drinkers, I found out. And I said, I was going to go have a martini by myself at the bar. And he goes, well, we're going to have it over at the table. I go, I will too. I mean, obviously it would have been ridiculous for me to sit there, but it was great because the wife told me that, they said, we have every Thursday night back in the Midwest, we have martini night. So they really appreciated it.
That's nice, because I'm very grumpy when I feel that time gets interrupted. So like if I'm at a bar and I'm on my phone or whatever, and somebody wants to,
they were really cool. We started talking old movies. We did top 5 movies. I
love that.
Yeah, they were great. And it is fun to have a I don't know if you've experienced this. Do you know other friends that love martinis and they want to have a martini with you, and it's pretty satisfying? That's pretty fun because they appreciate it. Yes,
that's different.
That's what I'm talking about.
And you can talk about the martini, and nobody's annoyed that you're talking about the martini because you're both having the same experience. I do have that friend, and it is a different experience. That person for sure can join anytime.
Okay. Tell me about this. So sometimes I'll go to a restaurant and I'm not having a martini this night. I'm just going to have red wine. Now, a lot of times in my brain, as I'm going to the restaurant, I'm teasing myself. I go, I think I'm just going to have red wine tonight. Look at me. So disciplined. And then I get there, I go, I'm having I change my mind and I'm all excited. But this is what makes me laugh when I'm not going to have a martini, and I don't. I was just going to have red wine. And I hear the shaker at the bar. And I look at everybody at the table and I go, doesn't that sound great? Doesn't that sound great?
Doesn't it sound cold? Doesn't it sound perfect? It's like jingle bells at Christmas time.
Exactly.
It's perfect. No.
It's just, so that's the ritual I love. The shaking, the pouring, the ice cold.
The serving, the napkin, the thing. I get it. Have you been to Dante?
Wait a second.
Beverly Hills yet?
Oh, no. And I've heard about it. That's in a hotel upstairs, right?
Yes,
Yes.
it's beautiful.
Is it at Mayborn or where's it at?
It's at the Mayborn,
Yeah.
and it's beautiful. There's a Dante in New York,
Right.
that is, I think I like, just because that's the Dante I got to know. I think I prefer that one, but I gotta say they got the Beverly Hills one right, and
Right.
it's the happy hour though. I don't know after that. There's just a great happy hour that they do. There's a piano player. It overlooks the city. There are these big booths and some
Yeah.
outside tables. I highly recommend if you haven't been. It's become a favorite. Yeah.
I'm gonna check it out because I've seen pictures and it looks pretty special. I just remembered another note about martinis because I say that I think it's rare that women, like martinis. Maybe it's not as rare. I don't know, but I know that the earlier generations they liked martinis. So older
Yeah.
women, and I just want to tell you an observation I've had, which I find fascinating. I've been at restaurants. There was a restaurant, I don't know if it's still there, called Wolfgang Steakhouse, not Wolfgang Puck, but Wolfgang Steakhouse over there on Cannon. But I was there a number of years ago,
Fair.
and there
Uh-huh.
was a table of older people, and the two women in their 80s
Mhm.
ordered martinis. And I was
Mhm.
like, this is so great. But what I noticed was this, not a big deal. They nursed them because they're not going to have two martinis, obviously.
Right.
So, which means they nursed them, which means they were drinking warm martini later, which is not the end of the world at all, but
Yeah.
it's just how it works. They
Yeah.
probably, like you and I, loved the ritual and said, I'm still going out and I'm having my martini. And
Yeah.
then they would just sip it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Anyways,
You
but they were
know,
in their 80s, so that's good.
yeah, I think that's fine. I don't knock that because I think it's about, I don't want a warm martini. I don't want to, you do want to drink it when it's cold, or my preference is drink it when it's cold. But if I'm having one and I see somebody else drinking one for an entire meal, I'm going to understand
Yep,
why they did it and be like, you know
absolutely.
what? That's okay.
Yeah.
Because you get it.
Yeah, yeah. Even if it's like they only enjoyed the first 3 sips,
Right.
but I can have when I'm eating, I have a martini prior to dinner.
Yeah.
Now, obviously it overlaps. I'm ordering food at some point. I may not be done. And I don't even mind when it's still now it's warm at the end. I could care less because I'm eating. It's all good.
Yeah.
But let me see. This is so hilarious.
No, it's funny. You were talking about the red wine thing being disciplined, and I was thinking about like how I can sometimes another reason I like drinking alone sometimes, I think, is because I don't have to commit to, this is terrible because what I'm about to say is probably awful because how lucky, right? That we're gonna share a bottle of wine. That's really nice. But then I feel committed to that bottle of wine. And sometimes I do like to order by the glass. And I know sometimes the nicer wines are by the bottle, but I like to order because I like to start with a white and go to a red with my meal, but I almost always prefer starting with white. So even if the table orders
Oh,
a bottle of red, I'll order a
right.
glass of champagne or a white. I don't know what, this is something new that I'd say in the last 10 years that I've started, like when it's a wine night. And I didn't know if maybe, I don't know if that's something else we
I
share, but
don't drink I don't drink white wine except when my friends order it, and I
right.
always enjoy it. Obviously, it's colder than red, so maybe you like the cold, but I do like my red wine, so I have that. But honestly, to me, my life is simple. It's either a vodka martini or red wine,
Yeah.
and, it'll
I feel like,
happen
yeah.
yeah, it'll happen this weekend. I have to go I can't say where. Well, this airs later. But anyways, I have to go, meet some people, and, I will be having a martini. And let me just tell you something. I don't know if you have an opinion on this. I'm gonna name the place I'm going to because this will air later.
Okay.
So I go to Rayo's
Oh yeah.
in Hollywood, and Rayo's is, of course, famous for their pasta sauce, their red sauce, and they have a famous Rayo's in New York City in Harlem.
Of course.
But and I love it there. Good vibe. Their martinis are big. And when I was younger, it was important to me. Now I like the smaller Nick and Nora glasses. So
Mhm.
I sometimes will go to a restaurant and I'll sit at the bar and I'll say, let me see your martini glasses. And they'll show me. They have a coupe, which I think are so beautiful.
I love the Nick and Nora glasses.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I like the smaller ones
Yeah.
as opposed to the the big ones. And we were
I know.
we were measuring at one restaurant bar. My buddy and I were saying how many ounces in that? That looks like it's the same. They go, it's the same. And then it was 5 ounces, and one was 3 ounces. So it is
Yeah,
more. So
it is. This is another reason I think you'll love Dante.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they
Big
have small
glasses,
little.
they're nice.
Yeah,
Yes. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's funny because that is like the Mastros and
Yeah.
they're the bigger glasses for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And then but I do love the little mini I love the little mini guy.
Yeah. I'll tell you the worst thing, it's only happened well, I think it's only happened once, but it was a dive bar. But a friend of mine, there's this place called Cipriani's, the
Yeah.
famous one in New York and I guess around the world, but they opened one in Beverly Hills, and I walked in to meet him there, and he goes, "We're out of here." The seats were low at the bar. It was not. It's been getting some bad reviews.
Oh,
They didn't
interesting.
use
I
a
walked
martini
by it.
glass. They didn't use a martini glass. They used like a little tumbler for your He goes, "I ordered a martini. If you don't put it in a martini glass, I'm gone."
I'm out of here. I'm out of here. It's the classic experience that when someone orders a martini, it isn't just about what the liquid. It is
Yeah,
about the
exactly.
art
How
of the
beautiful.
whole
Yes.
exactly. Oh man, that's bad. I'm out. I haven't
I'm
been,
out.
but it's so funny. It was on my list and I can't do it.
And when I was younger in my 30s, I would drink vodka on the rocks, but I'd have gimlets, but I don't do that anymore. I like the martini glass. It makes me so happy.
Yeah, me too. Me
It
too.
just makes me so happy.
It's very like I think it takes you back into an era, but it also I think for me it feels
Oh,
very
yeah.
sexy. It feels very yeah,
You just said something. I'm dying to ask you this.
an era.
Well, and
Yeah.
I do have we are gonna play the Life Gorgeous quiz, and this question, I don't wanna it might overlap, but I don't care. Hey, Maggie, so is it important to you like, I it's cool that it's good that you drink martinis at home, and I do sometimes, but because I only have 1 martini a week, it's usually gonna be out somewhere.
What?
I'm sorry. Do you say to yourself, "I have a dress that I haven't worn in ages, and I'm gonna go to Little Dom's or whatever. I'm gonna wear this and have a martini." Do you care about what you're wearing when you have a martini, or am I the weirdo that way?
No, this is my point about the silk pajamas not being pathetic. I can't be okay for this is a terrible example, but like I can't be. I horse. Well, I'm taking horseback riding lessons, horsemanship class. I love horses. So
Right.
anyway, but I can't like leave a horse lesson and then like just go have a glass somewhere. Like I could have a glass of wine maybe, but
Yes.
no, I do feel if I'm going to have a martini. Oh, wait, hold on. Am I going to blow this up now? Because I'm thinking about my Dante. Dante is something I've done now. I'm guessing 10 times since they've opened.
Oh,
I
wow.
usually go at happy hour.
You
And I
sit at
will
the
tell you,
bar, or they have bar tables, or where do you sit?
I sit, the bar is tiny. It's nice.
Okay.
But no, there's a little area outside with these little 2-seaters.
Oh, cool.
Last time I went, it was very cute. I took Linus and they brought me a plain piece of chicken breast to give him because he was hungry and it was just wonderful. But I'll say that's the place, I think the only place I feel like I go in like my daytime clothes.
Yeah.
But no, I'm sorry. If I'm going to a steakhouse, if I'm going to have a martini, because I'll put a steakhouse in that category, a certain kind of steakhouse. I will, I can't, it's not a casual experience for me.
Yes. Thank
It's
you.
just not. Yeah.
Yes. I
It's an
love wearing
elegance.
sport
It's an elegance.
coats. I love wearing sport coats and having a martini. I can do it in a cashmere sweater. I have to
Yes.
mentally get prepared for that. But most of the time, it's one of my bespoke blazers that are been flown in from Paris.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, now
Yes.
listen. So this is what I'm gonna do because I'm looking
I
at the
love this,
time.
Greg. I
I
love
know.
this about you because you
I
do it for you. You're not
Thank you.
doing it for other people. You're not trying to impress anyone.
I
This
think
is
we're
for
both
you.
dreamers. I think we both spend a lot of time in our own world
We
dreaming
do.
about life and
We
thinking about
do.
what we like. The good news is I have other notes, but I can save it for next time because it's I think the people want to hear us talk martinis for the rest of our lives. But I'm going to now transition
Okay.
to the end, which is the Life
Aw.
Gorgeous quiz.
Okay.
Simple questions, profound insights.
Okay.
I have done this first question. It's geography. I have done this with my writer friends who are East Coast snobs, and they have struggled, and you will also struggle, but it's okay because it's fun.
Oh boy.
I grew up in Minnesota. There are 4 states that border Minnesota. Can you name 3 of the 4 states that border Minnesota? Now, if you ask me what borders Kentucky, I would struggle. So if you get one of these, I'll be impressed.
Iowa?
Yes. Yes, that's the one south, and the other guys did not get that. They got something else. That was really good.
Wisconsin?
Yeah. Oh, yes. How do you know this?
Hold, please. Let me focus.
Are you looking
No,
doing-
no. So my very first boyfriend lived in the
Yes.
Quad Cities of Iowa.
Oh, okay.
And his family was in a tiny part of their family, lived in this tiny area of Minnesota called Onamia.
Okay.
Do you know Onamia?
I don't.
Okay, so I've driven, flown, and so I should know this.
Well, I
and
will
now I'm
say-
getting tripped up.
I will say, my
Yeah.
guy, they didn't get Iowa or Wisconsin. They got the 2 states that were west of Minnesota because they're slightly, in some ways, they're slightly easier.
Really? Wait, west of Minnesota is easier?
Then, yeah, like one of the guys didn't know it was Wisconsin. They said Michigan. So, they didn't know. But west of Minnesota.
Oh, I could see Michigan. I was thinking I went to Michigan initially, and then I'm like, no, it's over there.
Yeah.
North Dakota?
Yeah. Bing, 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 bing. And if you get North
Oh, I
Dakota.
got 3.
No,
So
if you
South
get
Dakota.
Yeah. South
Oh my
Dakota.
God. I got all 4?
Yes.
Oh, I'm not looking at a thing, I promise. It's just from this experience I had
That's
with
amazing.
with this
That's
boyfriend that I
really
had.
impressive.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Because they would say North Dakota. I go, well, then you're going to get the other one. And then they go South Dakota. Yeah.
Well, you
They're
gave me
right
that
on top of each
clue,
other.
of
Yeah.
course, but I was like, I think because Minnesota's kind of a little longer. So
Correct.
if North Dakota's hitting it and North Dakota's furthest north, yeah, makes sense. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Yes.
So impressive.
Yes. All right.
I thought you were going to go, oh my God, I can't do this. Okay. Next question.
Oh no.
Have you ever had a drink with a man who wore an ascot?
Yes. So, my ex-boyfriend, the relationship that ended last year, he had released a book recently, and he decided for his book release party that he was, or one of his book release parties, that he was going, because he was an author now. So, and this is why we got along, because we could share it in this, like, you've got to be the whole thing, right? Like we were the whole thing. So he was like, I'm wearing an ascot to this party. And he did. And then even so to say we shared a drink, yes, because
yes.
I think he'd be okay with me telling the story, but the party was going on very long. There was a lot of wine and people were getting insane. And it was in New York, and we bailed late. Like we bailed his own book release party, left all of his friends and family there, and we went to Balthazar and had martinis. Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, it's pretty good.
That's great. That is hilarious. So
yes,
I love ascots, but I think I've only worn one out of the house once to this Michelin mentioned restaurant called Nate's on Marsh up in San Luis Obispo.
Oh,
but I might do it more. And
Bring
I
it
also,
back.
yeah. And I obviously I pose for them on Instagram because I like them so much, the ascots. And then there's a neckerchief that I want to tie that I haven't done yet, but I might do that.
It.
I do wear vests with my custom made vests that match my blazers, which my brother thinks is a little too over the top. But I love vests because it gives a kind of a slimming look.
Yeah,
Anywho.
I love vests too. Yeah.
Two
anyway,
more
so yes, I have. Bring the ascot back, and I have noticed that when you post on Instagram, I love your posts.
Thank you.
It's a very nice aesthetic.
Thank you, and it's a very cathartic and creative outlet for me. to do that and to add the music. It's just fun, and my
Right.
buddies love it. They're very encouraging. Who's your favorite current actor? Do you have a favorite current actor?
Oh my goodness gracious. Who is my favorite current? I watched this movie. Oh my God. And I should know her name, and this is going to sound terrible. Anatomy of a Fall.
I've heard of it.
Did you see this movie? You know
No,
what I'm going to do? You know what I'm going to do?
tell me.
Because I don't want to go down the I move around on this all the time. But my favorite actor is also one of my very best friends, and her name is Melanie Linsky, and I'm going to talk about her because
Okay.
Melanie would appreciate you, Craig. We're very similar in our experiences. Although I will say we met in a very you would not approve of this. I don't even approve of this. She doesn't even approve of this anymore. But we were in our early 20s when we met, and we met over pomegranate martinis at a restaurant in
Oh, you're
Vancouver.
going to say, we were doing Coke at a party and we met.
Oh
like
no,
this. I thought it's a
we're not that
pomegranate.
bad. I'm embarrassed of
Yeah.
the pomegranate martini. And
Yeah.
oh my God, Greg, I think we had like 5 this night that we met, and it was
Oh,
beautiful because
man.
we were working on this show together, and there was this other woman, and we love her very much, but she ended up having to work late. The 3 of us were like, we should finally have our girls' night. Let's do this. The girl was working late. Melanie and I were like, do we still go? Should we wait for her? We didn't know each other that well yet. And we were like, no, let's go. And we went and we sat down and had these pomegranate martinis and totally fell in love. And she's been like, we've
That's
been like
great.
best friends ever since. Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of, I always tell people, because espresso martinis are popular, please don't have them. They're not healthy. There's so much sugar. It's just not good. Just have a straight martini. And, but pomegranate, that's fun. You're young, you have the
Oh
sweet stuff.
yeah. I'd never heard it. I was also like, I was a wine drinker, even from like, I never drank
Right.
beer. I turned 21 and it was wine all the way. And then, yeah. Okay.
Last question. Food question. Favorite style of potatoes? A lot of different ways to prepare potatoes. Favorite style. I'm only doing it because I want to say what I like, but go ahead.
What are because I can't think of a name today.
Okay.
Super thin sliced.
Scalloped.
Thank you. Like that.
That's my answer, which is the same as au gratin. It's cheese. It's not the same.
I was about to say, I know it's not au gratin, but I
love scallop. Because you could say, I love mashed potatoes. Some people like the French fries. Some people like
I love the mashed potatoes, though. It depends on where I am, but I think my preference, because that can get heavy to me really quick. Give me the scallop.
Yes.
I like a scallop potato.
Maggie, this was a joy.
As always.
Yes. And I love that I have all these other notes that I can do down the road because I didn't know about, some of the stories that we tell, and I appreciate it. We'll see you next time. And one day, what's our friend's name? Sim. We're all going to go have a drink over there at,
yes.
Do you know Sim Sarna is a real nice guy.
The best.
Very successful. I don't know if you've had drinks with him. I think if I remember correctly, which I don't approve of, and I'll tell him that, I think he likes margaritas, which I think is too much sugar, but he's a good guy, and
he's a great guy.
Yeah. So
I've known him since I was 20. So we probably did have a drink. We were working in Aspen, Colorado on a movie together in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
I believe 2021. It was right around there. And so I think I remember our drink of choice was something called a 007. Do you know what that is?
Well, it's not the Vesper, is it? It's not the half gin, half vodka.
No, we were 20. It was like
7-Up,
orange juice, orange vodka, and 7-Up. 007, not what you think.
Oh, I see.
So I'm guessing we had one of those at one point. But yeah, Sim is as good as it gets. Sim's great. Yeah.
Great to see you. Thank you.
I want to have you back on as well, me time, so we can talk about more of our me times. But I'll come back and talk anytime you want. If you just want to have a lady on every few weeks, I'll just pop in. And
you have to break up. I was telling Maggie that we have all this sports, and now the playoffs are coming, and I have to go to Minnesota for the first round, and it's good to have a little different energy sometimes. And I want people. What I would think is hilarious if we do this every once in a while. And we become a phenomenon. Like, these guys are freaks. They can talk about martinis for 50 minutes. That would be
Yes.
hilarious.
I
That'd be
don't
hilarious.
care. We should
I
just
know.
start a martini podcast where we have people on and
Right.
that's all we talk about, their favorite kind of
Well,
martini.
it is a thing I've said before in the past. Sometimes people go, "How much do you drink?" I go, not that much." Well, you sure talk about it a lot. I love talking about, I'm going to have one this weekend and it's going to be ice cold. And it's just amazing.
It's
Anyway,
amazing. And we're
thank-
lucky. Like I love that we found these things. As you said, we're dreamers. It's like the sunsets, it's Carmel, it's all it's not just the thing. It's everything around the thing. And that's the martini for me too. Anyway,
thank you.
anytime.
Thank you, Maggie.
All right. Thank you, Craig.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's our show. I want to thank the great Maggie Lawson. I just said Larson. I want to thank I've been drinking, the great Maggie Lawson. Mags, her podcast is The Psychologists Are In and Me Time.
Yeah.
I'll see you next time, young people. Remember, I'm proud of you.